Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to Coffee and Headlines, our daily get-together live here on Facebook, 10:30 in the morning, every single day of the week, where we gather and we share headline stories, comments, suggestions, tips on how to best enjoy our lives here in Puerto Vallarta as an English-speaking community of locals. It is always a pleasure to get together with all of you, and it's always a pleasure to welcome new folks that join us every day. It is very exciting. So if you're new to the broadcast, my name is Paco, and we'd love to hear from you. So please write the word new in your comment so that we can give you a proper welcome. And if you have important questions or comments that you would like to address during the broadcast, it helps a lot if you add the letter Q to your question or comment. That way I know that it is directed to me, to yours truly, and I'll be happy to address it during the broadcast. And if not during the broadcast, shortly thereafter. As you know, everything that is shared here at Coffee and Headlines, if it involves a website or a bookmark or more information, we always make that information available for everyone to enjoy after each broadcast in the show notes. And last but not least, we are live on Facebook, but we also welcome our friends that catch up with Coffee and Headlines on YouTube on a daily basis. So it is great to see you all. It is great to see folks from all over the place. It is great to turn the weather on when you're supposed to. I just turned the weather on. I forgot to turn the weather on before we got started today. William is in the house in Emiliano Zapata. Great to see you. Punta Negra is in the house. Versalles is in the house baking bread. I love it. Michael is here. Our resident opera singer is here. We have great new material for you to sing, Michael. Last night, I stayed at home and masturbated. Just kidding. Just kidding. Too early in the morning. I know. David is in Boston. Boston's in the house. Michigan's in the house. You guys are all over the place. Wet New Jersey is in the house. It is always great to see you all. And it's great to see new folks such as Tracy Baker. Tracy, yes, occasionally I break into silly song. Please don't hold it against me. And on Sundays, Tracy, just so you know, on Sundays there are no news. Everything is just silly and very rude and impertinent and funny and smelly and silly. So just know that. Let's see who else is here. Yes, thank God it's Friday. Absolutely. I completely agree with you, Linda. It is that day.
Thank
yes.
God it's
Let's see what else. Oh, Logan slept covered under the blankets for the first time in several months. Okay, no more sneaking into your house and taking naked pictures. Ni modo. What can we do? Today, we're going to have all kinds of important news. We're going to continue to follow up on questions and reactions to the whole button business, which, of course, we know is pushed as of today. So today is going to be the first day of the button pushing emergency here in the state of Jalisco. Then we're going to talk about a few miscellaneous news items. We are going to also talk about Sor Juana Inés de la Cruz, this important Mexican person, probably the first Mexican rock star ever. We're going to talk about, no, you didn't. You did not sing last night. I stayed at home and masturbated last night, Michael. Send us the video if you did. And if you did, we'll send you more naughty songs for you to sing. Uh, too funny. Carol will be in the house on November 15. Good for you. Um, and yes, it is nice to have cooler weather in PV ever so slightly. Claude, it was heavenly, heavenly to spend quality time with you guys yesterday. It was just absolutely beautiful. Thank you very much for all the energy. Uh, John asks, whoa, that's a big, 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 big thing. John asks, you, I said I would give perspective to an answer from a Mexican perspective, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so I'm not going to. Okay. So let me explain this. John wrote in the PV We're Here a Facebook group about why Mexicans wear or not wear face masks. I noticed the breadth of theories that were shared by mostly non-Spanish speaking folk. I made a comment that said something along, wow, this is fascinating. And it is fascinating. So last night, the person who monitors or moderates that Facebook group got in touch with me, and she's like, well, I'm curious too. So are you going to talk about this? And the answer is yes. I volunteered my personal Mexican perspective on why we wear face masks or not, and I will gladly share that at the end of the broadcast today. I won't do it earlier because this is a very specific request, and not everybody may be wanting to stick around or interested in that cultural aspect, but I thought it would be of interest to some. So we'll do that at the end of the show today, John, if that's okay with you. Jeannie thinks we should have a Zoom meeting since we have not been able to have a meet and greet. Fun idea. Let me see if I can figure out how to do that. I mean, I know the theory of it, but I've never had a Zoom meeting with a bunch of people. Let me give it a go. And I will gladly consider that because for a change, it would be so wonderful to hear your voices back. I would be so totally into it. Kevin is coming back on November 15th. I look forward to that, Kevin. And I also look forward to close an unclosed circle with you. As long as I've been doing my own share of introspection, dealing with my ability to handle my friendships properly or improperly, we have some unresolved business and I need to fess up to something. And I'm looking forward to having some quality time with you, or at least I'm looking forward to you reading a little note that I'm going to send you. Let's see. Suzanne is new and just moved here Sunday. Good for you, Suzanne. Stick around, ask everything or anything you want to ask, and if we have the answer, we will be happy to share it. Tomas likes the Zoom idea. I will do some homework. I promise I will. And that looks yummy. That looks absolutely yummy. Anyhow, let me just get started with news because there's a lot of things to talk about. Bam! Okay, I'm sorry. I was reading a question and I went to La La Land for a second. Autotransportes Medina. This is the bus line that goes from Puerto Vallarta to Riviera Nayarit. They announced that their last bus is going to stop coming into Puerto Vallarta at 7:30 in the evening. This may be problematic for people that live north of the border, that live in Nayarit and are trying to get home, like hotel workers. So the bus company was just prompt in letting everybody know that their last bus comes into Puerto Vallarta at 7:30 p.m. We know that Uber was instructed not to operate during the evening hours in the next couple of weeks. Uber is now protesting this measure. I took two Ubers yesterday, one to go into town and one to come back to come back, and I had interesting conversations with both taxi drivers. It is both Uber drivers. On the one hand, yes, we know that the governor spoke with Uber and other platforms and said, you guys, we're trying to limit the number of people, or the number of choices, rather, for people to be able to ride transportation in the evening hours. We're trying to discourage people to be out and about. So apparently, Uber as a platform said, okay, we were going to be in solidarity with you. I asked one of the Uber drivers yesterday, well, do you think there was some politics involved? Because we know that the taxi union in Puerto Vallarta, in Jalisco, the taxi union in Jalisco is very powerful. And one of the interesting things that I discovered yesterday is that our very own governor, Enrique Alfaro, owns a taxi union. Well, not the union. You know, taxis, they're called sitios. And sitio is a place where you go and stand and wait for a taxi. Well, apparently our very own gobernador owns a few of these sitios, or maybe one, I don't know how many. So it is interesting to see that the governor allowed taxi cabs to do their job and not the platform. Here locally, of course, I have several lady friends, and I know that women, and I had this conversation with the Uber driver, I know that women feel safer in Uber for obvious reasons. And I know that there have been comments of women not feeling safe in the yellow cabs. And I was so very happy to hear that a personal friend of mine, who is a woman who owns a vehicle, has taken it upon herself to get in touch with her lady friends that work at night and is going to volunteer to drive them home. And that is so wonderful and just so inspiring that we as a community are able to look after one another, and some of us are actually willing to do that. So that is the Uber business. On the other hand, this was absolutely funny because as the governor announced that there would be some special prices for taxi cabs in the entire state during these couple of weeks that are starting today, the taxi cabs themselves said, well, nobody told us. So you have all these taxi cabs going about their business and saying, oh, okay, so we're supposed to have special fares. Okay, nice that you told us. We will have special fares, we suppose. But you know, that's the beautiful way in which information trickles from our governor to the population. And then you wonder why people are not wearing face masks. We'll get into that at the end of today, I promise. Moving right along, Aguascalientes, the state of Aguascalientes, becomes the second state, along with Jalisco, to establish their very own statewide indicators for what can be done or what is not to be done during the pandemic. So this is yet another state that has said, well, we love you, federal government, we love your federal stoplight, but we're going to put out our own weekly updates. Have a nice day. So I don't know that this is good or bad. I don't know if this represents an increasing struggle between the federation as such and the individual states. We've been dancing to our governor's own tune for the last few months, or at least from the beginning of the pandemic, that's for sure. And I think we are better off as a state being independent from the federal guidelines, or at least it's worked that way so far. Our mayor, Arturo Dávalos, of course, came out to lift his finger. Yes, lifts a finger. The mayor lifted a finger. That is newsworthy. Okay, that was bitchy. I take that back. The mayor made a call to the citizenship of Puerto Vallarta in a press conference saying, today we regret we're giving a small step backwards in everything that we had accomplished. So it is really up to everyone to get our act together and follow the guidelines. Nothing new, nothing we haven't heard before. He did indicate, he confirmed everything that we know is going to happen. And he indicated that there's going to be people from the government monitoring beaches to make sure that people are not out and about on the beach. I'm getting close to the end of the news, and I'll take a quick look at your comments when we're done with that. In other news, I want to share that there's an ex-employee of the U.S. Embassy in Mexico City that has been apprehended in the States, in the United States, because it has come to light that he sexually abused at least 9 women in Mexico City while he was working at the embassy there. The victims indicated that that in Mexico he enjoyed diplomatic immunity, which is why he was never apprehended. But apparently, he collected videos of his abuse of women, and these videos have now come to light. His name is Brian Jeffrey Raymond, in case you want to look for his Facebook page. And he has been apprehended again. Apparently, he would take them to an apartment in Polanco in Mexico City. He would drug women, and then he would rape them. He was apprehended last week in California, and now both the Mexican government and the U.S. government are working together to bring this man to justice. Unfortunately, we learned that the fishing tournament, the 65th annual fishing tournament here in Puerto Vallarta, which was to take place between 11th and 14th of November, is now canceled, which is a sad thing to see because it's the first time in 65 years that this very important event has been canceled. I'm not a fan of fishing myself, but I know, having worked at Vallarta Lifestyles for so many years and discussed this important event, it is huge and it's very popular for many people that enjoy fishing. I'm not a fishing person again, but I thought you should know. Let's see. The last bit of news that I have, and please watch me wearing my cynical hat, okay? This last bit of news comes with my cynical hat on. As you know, our dear nightmonger friends have been advertising this enchanted Halloween weekend party, 3 days of fun and excitement that were to take place at Industry and at Mantamar over the course of the weekend, Friday, today, tomorrow night, and Sunday at 4. I'll have you know that these potential super spreader events have not been canceled. So if you want to go to a potential super spreader event and exercise your right to do whatever you want, only to come back and share that super spreader joy with the rest of the population and possibly take it back home to your loved ones, you still have the opportunity to do that because the organizers have submitted additional information on how they're going to take all ticket holders to a secluded location outdoors where it is legal to have a party. Of course, when our government has said that if you have gatherings of more than 10 people, you are breaking the law. Maybe they're going to Nayarit. Maybe they're going to space. We don't know where they're going. But, if you came to Puerto Vallarta this weekend to catch COVID and spread it around, hey, you haven't lost your opportunity to do that. You can still do that. I would like to show this page again because I want everybody to take a good look at the sponsors: Andrew Christian, Mantamar, Almar Resort, the Top Sky Bar, Addicted, Gay PV, and GED Magazine, and Wet and La Noche, and Wet and Wild, Gay Cruise, and La Margarita Bar, and the Swedes, and Mr. Flamingo. If you are so very happy that that these businesses are sponsoring this event, and that if you please share them your joy, and please commend them, send them letters directly. Or maybe these businesses, I know at least one of these businesses I've had business with in the past that may not even be aware that they're sponsoring an event that is, for the most part, illegal. So I will make it a point to get in touch with Gay Entertainment Directory, which is a magazine for which I've been a correspondent. I've written articles for them, and I'm going to let them know, hey guys, your zipper is open. You may not know that you are endorsing an event that is illegal. If you do, stop endorsing, and if you don't stop endorsing, you may have to find another writer, and that's okay. People can do whatever they want. So there it is. There you have it. Great news. Go super spread. Go super spread. And before we super spread, let me take a quick look at your comments. Actually, let me just a personal commentary on that party. It is so sad that there is going to be this huge label on the gay community because this is a gay community event. And it is so sad that some people will choose to increase their hatred or lack of support for the gay community because of events like this. And when I say people, I mean individuals like you and I, but I also mean the government. I mean, every year come Pride, for example, when the gay community goes and knocking on the government's door and says, hey, can you please give us some support? We need financial support to do this. The government may very well turn around and say no, and the sad thing about that is that we are no longer a gay community. I think we're becoming this division of, I don't know what we're becoming, but it is just sad that this is happening. I mean, that's the only thing that I can feel. I choose not to get angry. Some people got in touch with me and said, we're really angry about this. And all I can say is, for me, it's easier to recover from sadness than it is to recover for anger. So I'm choosing to be sad. I'm choosing to be sad that these things happen, and because I'm hoping to recover. One other thing, and last on this topic, is something that I've been sharing with you guys. This is a time to reevaluate our tribes and choose our tribes carefully. Let me take a quick look at your reactions, and we'll move on with the rest of the broadcast. Bam. Let's see. La la la. La 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 la. We've looked at that. Flying in tomorrow. Is zipping open since during the day? Should I consider moving hotel to Nayarit since beaches open after 3 p.m.? Brandon, you are obviously a tourist. Welcome to our destination. Flying in tomorrow. Is zipping open? I suggest you get in touch with the zip lines themselves. Should I consider moving hotel to Nayarit since beaches open after 3 p.m.? That's entirely up to you, Brandon. If you came here to spend time at the beach after 3 p.m., then I would suggest moving to Nayarit. If you came here to enjoy the destination and enjoy other things, maybe go to the beach in the morning, maybe go dining early in the evening, and then maybe just chilling at your hotel, watching Netflix, Puerto Vallarta is open and waiting for you. La 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 la. Steve Ellsworth. Da, 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 da. Okay, yeah, we'll get into this business with the masks in a little while. Let's see. Okay. Question: what website posts PV taxi fares? The official website, Sue Pearson, which is the website that we shared yesterday and the day before, and we'll be happy to put it in the show notes again today for the third day in a row. No problem. Let's see. Some people are reporting audio problems. Some people are not reporting audio problems. Paul, you could do that Or you could simply focus on the things that we can control. I mean, you have an awesome business in town. Nurture that. Nurture your own tribe. Seriously. Um, la 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 la. Let's see. Let's see. Okay, I think I'm getting to the end of your. Oh my God. I am going to say, Joe, how sad it is that you seem to understand so very little about what's going on here and why it's going on here. Blanket statements like yours, Joe, this shutdown is such bullshit. You tell me how that comment contributes to the conversation. You tell me how saying something like this shutdown is such bullshit makes you a better contributor to society, or at least to Coffee and Headlines. Please keep the blanket statements to yourself. We don't want them here. And I mean that in the best possible way. Contribute positively to the conversation or contribute not. And see, that makes me sad. That doesn't make me angry. It's just sad that there are some people that think, they can just make these blanket statements like Trump is a moron or Hugo Lopez Gatell is an idiot. It's like, if you feel powerful and knowledgeable enough to make those statements, step up to the fucking plate and show a solution. Sorry. Oh my goodness. Okay, let's move on with the rest of the show. Question, on another note, will I wear a costume? Will there be a full moon on Halloween? I still have some accessories in the house. I may bring one out today or tomorrow or the day after. I am not so sure. Okay, I think we're ready for the weather. Let's go there. 29 degrees Celsius feels like 34. Fahrenheit, it's 84 degrees. There's zero chance of precipitation. Humidity is at 80. Slowly getting lower. I love it. Today's weather forecast indicates that it's going to be humid and partly cloudy with a high of 31. Tomorrow, we'll have humidity through the day. 32 is the high temperature, and Sunday it'll be humid through the day with a high temperature of 31. So where were we? Let's take a quick look at what we have. Oh, I forgot. I had one more important news thing to consider. This is certainly not a leisurely thing, but I want to show this fact to you. It is estimated that by the end of 2020, the population in Puerto Vallarta will increase to 304,141 inhabitants, where 152,066 are men and 152,071 are women. 304,000 inhabitants. Why is this relevant? This is relevant because yesterday, 500,000 new cases of COVID were registered around the world. So that's more than the population of Puerto Vallarta, if you can grasp that reality. So I forgot to leave that for you as a food for thought. And I wanted to do that before we move on to the leisurely stuff. Now that I've gotten that out of my system, I let you know that there is a new 100 peso bill coming up, and it'll feature Sor Juana Inés de la Cruz. And Sor Juana Inés de la Cruz is now featured in the 200 peso bill. Why would the government choose to honor two bills with Sor Juana Inés de la Cruz? Well, Sor Juana Inés de la Cruz is the original Mexican rock star. I don't know if you know that. Do you guys know about Sor Juana Inés de la Cruz? Sor Juana Inés de la Cruz was born in 1648, and died in 1695. She was a Mexican. She was a nun, And she was a Mexican writer, philosopher, composer. She was a poet of the Baroque period. Her outspoken opinions granted her lifelong names such as the 10th Muse and the Phoenix of Mexico, because she was, according to people, a flame that rose from the ashes of religious authoritarianism. She was the original Mexican feminist. She began writing poetry and prose dealing with such topics as love, feminism, and religion. She turned her nun's quarters into a salon, and she was visited by the city's intellectual elite. And her criticism of misogyny and the hypocrisy of men led to her condemnation by the Bishop of Puebla. And in 1694, she was forced to sell her collection of books and focus on charity towards the poor. She died the next year, having caught the plague while treating her sisters. And talk about a person I would have loved to have dinner with. There is a famous poem by Sor Juana that everybody, well, not everybody, but that we learned when we go to school. It starts with hombres necios que acusáis a la mujer sin razón, sin ver que sois la ocasión de lo mismo que culpáis. And you're thinking, oh my God, that sounds fancy. Let me translate the first two verses of this poem. You foolish men that accuse women without a reason, without seeing that you're to blame of the same thing you accuse, if with unparalleled zeal, you beg for their disdain, why do you want them to act proper if you incite them to evil? A nun, a Mexican nun, she was quite a character, and there is only so much. I mean, quite the contrary. There's so much that one can learn about Sor Juana Inés de la Cruz. It's not even funny. Let me take a quick look at your comments before we move on to the last leisurely headline and we go into talking about Mexicans and face masks. Let's see. La 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 la. Oh my God, there is so much coming from you today, and I couldn't possibly blame you. So I'm going to focus on the cues, please. What's the weather like for mañana? Mañana, the weather is going to be a little cooler than today, and it's getting fresher and more comfortable to go out and enjoy yourself out and about. So that's the weather. La da 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 da. Let me take a quick look. Let's see. Oh, in Joe's defense, his girlfriend's about to have a baby, so he may be feeling a little edgy. Joe Lamara, who shared his blanket statement in a second. So he may be a little nervous. Joe asks, does Luna have a costume? No, she doesn't. Her costume is love, and she wears it every single day of the week. From sad to mad in 20 seconds. Thank you very much, Luke. There are some things that push my buttons, and I will talk about blanket statements in a second. And yes, blanket statements push my buttons in the worst possible way. Absolutely. Let's take a look. Sor Juana is being devalued. You know, I think Sor Juana would make the topic of a great movie or a musical or a something. No, she's not being devalued. Will the new bill be plastic? Probably, like the rest of the new ones. Absolutely. Let's see. The poetry's so good. That poetry's so good. Yes, I will share the whole translation of the poem. The poem is beautiful and priceless and so rich, as you probably know, Angelica. And yes, what she had to say is still relevant. Absolutely. Can I please spell her name? I will include her poem and her poetry in the show notes, Celeste. Don't worry about it. That way, everybody will get a chance to enjoy it. So, my final headline today before we go into the face mask and Mexicans business. 8 things to do this Halloween weekend. As always, we rely on the New York Times for things that we can watch and enjoy at home. So feel free to take a quick look at this when you get the show notes. Karen asks, "You are my dose of PV when I cannot be there. Am I single?" Yes, I'm single, Karen. So if you have a wonderful, sexy gay boyfriend that you would like to introduce to me, I am dating material if anybody will have me. Okay, so that is the end of the show, and we move on to this very specific topic about Mexicans and face masks. Um, Let me start by saying that this is not going to be one of those Paco gets ugly kind of business. I actually am fascinated and humbled by anyone who is curious enough about Mexico to theorize or speculate. Of course, one would wish that someone's curiosity about how we are the way we are would be large enough to actually go online and do some research, which in some cases happens and in some cases may not happen. Based on some of the comments that I saw online about this, I would think that some people just pull things out of the hat. And my only wish is for people that are curious about this to continue asking questions. The question itself is not offensive. It was not posed in an offensive way. You know, the person that posted asked, I'm looking for genuinely nice answers here. It is a question that can easily make one get into the defense mode. It's like, why are Mexicans a certain way? I would imagine that if I walked to a person from France and I said, why is it that you guys don't take showers? And I mean that in the nicest way, a person might actually be offended. Or why is it that your women don't shave their armpits? Culturally, Mexico tends to be defensive about questions like that. But before we go there, let me first break down the answer into two broad areas. And again, I am not an expert. This is just my speculation based on what I read and my personal experiences in Mexico and abroad as a Mexican man, as a gay man, and so forth and so on. First, let's look at the practical implications of why Mexicans here may not be wearing a face mask. Every time that the bus company says, well, we're going to charge one more peso per ride, 1 peso, just 1 peso, I see people that protest this. And I am reminded, as difficult as I may be able to imagine this to be real, that there are people in the world, in Mexico, in Jalisco, in Puerto Vallarta, there are people in Mexico, in our city, for whom a 1 peso increase on the bus that they have to take every day to go to work implies a struggle. That would be 2 pesos per day. That would be, if you go to work 20 days, that would be 40 pesos more a month. So a difference in income of 40 pesos can be quite considerable for some people. And we have populations that don't make enough money to afford that. What has that got to do with face masks? Well, maybe some people don't have the money to afford one. That is one consideration that we may want to keep in mind. People don't read. Many people don't know how to. Many people are not in the habit of reading. So it's not like your average low-income Mexican that cannot even afford a face mask is going to go to the nearest newsstand, like we have so many, and spend 10, 15 pesos on the newspaper to find out the news. A lot of people don't have access to internet. A lot of people don't realize how serious the situation is. So if you think that people out there not wearing face masks are as well-informed, well-cultured, well-budgeted as you are, some people are not. And that's not their fault. It is just the way things are. So the reality of a lot of people that you're certainly not going to see in the Zona Romantica or Emiliano Zapata, where all the English-speaking folk congregate, a lot of people just cannot afford it. So you're going to wonder, well, we see people wearing them, and why, if the Mexicans or the people that are not wearing them see other people wearing them. Why are they not wearing them? Well, there's something to be said about oppression and authority. And that's where we have to get scholarly and we have to get a little cultural. I found actually, well, before I go there, Mexico as a culture, we've been oppressed since day one. We've been oppressed. The Aztecs came in and they oppressed. Then the Spaniards came in and they oppressed. And then their religion came in and it oppressed. We had a fabulous religious system before the Spaniards came. And then the Spaniards came and they're like, well, it's okay that you have a bunch of gods and goddesses and whatever. But you know what? Not anymore. You're not going to have many. You're just going to have, the Catholic religion. And you're going to have this dude in a cross. And, so there's that oppression. And then the French came and they oppressed. And then the United States came and they oppressed. So authority is not something that Mexicans take very kindly. And then authority has fucked up many times. So do Mexicans tend to trust what authority has to say? No, not much. Not much. We have become very culturally skeptical through the years. Something else to keep in mind. Do we enjoy, as a culture, to be told by another culture what to do? Oh my God, if you want to push a button in Mexico, just like I get pushed by blanket statements, if you want to push a button on a Mexican, if you are from another country, you try telling someone what to do or what not to do. You try going Karen on a Mexican at Walmart and you won't survive, and that's neither good or bad. That's just the way we are. So does that explain the face mask business? Maybe it gives you a bigger perspective. There are great scholarly articles online in English. If you Google Mexico or Mexican oppression or Mexico and oppression, you will find all kinds of things. I found a fascinating and very scholarly article this morning on Wikipedia in English of anti-Mexican sentiments from Americans. And it really talks about how the American anti-Mexican sentiment started brewing during the wars with Mexico and continues to live to this day. I'm not saying that as a criticism. I'm just saying that as the fact that it's real. And then there's a whole business of Mexican envy, which is a very cultural thing that is also very real. I don't know if you know the story of the crab. The crab story is this very traditional Mexican story that deals a lot with Mexico's mindset with envy and success and so forth and so on, or somebody else's success. And if you haven't heard this story, it goes like this. A man stumbles upon a fisherman who is gathering crabs and he's placing them in a bucket without a lid. So a passerby asks the fisherman whether he is concerned that the crabs might climb out of the bucket and crawl away. And the fisherman replies that there is no need to worry. You see, he says, these are Mexican crabs. Whenever one of them tries to move up, the others pull him down. And that says a lot about Mexican mentality. I mean, here, if you start getting ahead of the game, fellow Mexicans will pull you down, will criticize you. And that's just the nature of the beast. So all these factors have something to do with the mindset that is going on right now. And they also have something to do with how tired everybody is about what's going on. Doctors are tired. The population is tired. The government is tired. Everybody is tired. But all these things are contributors. So in short, do I have an answer for why Mexicans don't wear masks? No. And I don't have an answer as to why supposedly the French don't bathe, and supposedly Canadians don't tip, and supposedly the United States, it's the bigger country in the world. I mean, talk about a stereotype that, Jesus, how do you answer to that question? How do you go to somebody from the United States and tell them, so why do you think you are the biggest, most powerful, most wonderful country in the world? How can you explain that today? I mean, that stereotype doesn't work anymore, or at least it's not working these days. So So there you go. I mean, I don't know that I can give you a better conversation about this, but how much I wish we lived in a moment in history in safety in which we could have sit down roundtable conversations about these things. My bottom line for anybody that is wondering about why we are the way we are as a culture is I choose to think that the vast majority of people are genuinely interested in learning more and understanding and appreciating. And if there are a bunch of haters out there thinking, well, how dare those fucking Mexicans be this way or that way? You know, eek. Go have insomnia for 2 or 3 months and take advantage of your insomnia by picking up some good books, such as the one that Angelica is suggesting right now, The Labyrinth of Solitude by Octavio Paz. I mean, that's a wonderful book to read if you're interested in learning more about our culture. The end. Let me take a quick look at your comments. And I appreciate that 198 of you are still here because that means that 198 of you are intrigued to learn more about here and now. And that gives me goosebumps. Nothing could make me happier that there are 198, 993. Oh my God, you're leaving, but that's okay. That there's a number of folks here in town that speak English that are possibly from other places that want to integrate better or get to know better the here and the now. For that, I am so incredibly grateful. It's not even funny. And I find myself preaching, so I'm going to shut up. Let me take a quick look at your comments. Um, Thank you, Michael, for being part of my evening diet. And I mean that in the nicest way. Let's see. Let's see. Hear a bunch of car horns blaring around downtown El Centro. That is probably the Uber drivers. Karen wants to introduce me to her son. Oh, absolutely, Karen. I want to meet your son. Of course, I do. Suzanne also asks about the honking. Again, this must be cab drivers or other political groups complaining about things. Um, La 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 la. People are different everywhere. Absolutely. Elvira also says, wear your masks. I love it. Um, Compassion works best. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I try to be as compassionate as I possibly can. Some days, again, the button gets pushed and Sylvie. Oh, thank you for that, Sylvie. And I meant no offense. I was trying to make a point here. There are these stereotypes out there. And that's the only point that I was trying to make. Um, La da 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 da. Yes, they built the churches on top of the pyramids to kill religious values. This is why a lot of times when people go digging in Mexico on their churches, they find so many wonderful pre-Hispanic things. Um, let's see. La da 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 da. Question. So, is our future democracy socialism or communism? Dealing with COVID brings these types of governments in question. Absolutely, Dana. That's a very, very big commentary, and one that I wish I had the skill set to comment back on. I must confess that one of the best gifts I've had since we started Coffee and Headlines is that I'm reading more about politics than I have ever read about politics in my entire life. I will never be an expert, but I am grateful for the opportunity to be more conversant in topics like the one that you are sharing with us. Thank you very much for that. Mexicans are always late. Yeah, I know. I find myself having to apologize for getting to places on times. Canadians don't tip. I peed a bit. Uh, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, again, these are all. I'm sure that that's not true. I'm sure that that's not true. See, Sheila says I am Canadian and I tip. Good for you. Good for you. Let us laugh about these stereotypes. Let us not get defensive about them. Uh, I think I am at the end of your comments, and because of that, I'm going to start saying farewell. Yes, we are at the end of the comments. As always, it is always a pleasure to get together with you. Every show is different, every connection is different, and every connection gives the opportunity to explore more and more things. I heard you yesterday when you wanted to hear more about internet radio. I'm going to be putting something together in the next few days. And I heard you yesterday when so many of you turned around and became supporting members of Coffee and Headlines. Your contributions are greatly, greatly appreciated. And that's it. Between today and tomorrow, stay kind, stay happy, stay open-minded, and stay thirsty to learn more about your surroundings. That's what makes you so freaking wonderful, and that's what makes me enjoy your company so very much. Have a great day.